Piracy.
Ahar, matey!
No, not that type of piracy. I'm not talking about hijacking ships and holding them for ransom.
Look at me, sure. Look at me, sure. I'm the captain now.
The other one, piracy that involves the internet and the wide variety of content that it offers. See, in the water world, pirates usually target cargo vessels or any transport ships to loot the valuable item that they are carrying. In the internet side of that, things are a bit different. It's not like there are people out there who are trying to take the internet away from you. Like, to some extent, there are people, sorry, I misrepresented them, basement dwelling goblins who are looking for a chance to take sensitive information from your devices to use for their game. And that is why this video is sponsored by NordVPN. Protect your online information from malicious threats by using this VPN. No, this video is not sponsored by them. That would have been a great joke if it was. Piracy in the internet is more like a copyright crime. To quote the official meaning, piracy is an act of illegally reproducing or disseminating copyrighted material such as computer programs, books, music and films, or as I like to say it, getting shit for free. So I'm gonna talk about computer programs, music and films. That leaves out the books. I mean, if you're pirating books, like, something's wrong with you. There are so many things that you can get for free online, and you thought of books? Fucking books! Let's move on from that. Piracy in the internet became a thing when operating system from Microsoft and Apple was becoming popular. Even though it started in the 1950s and 1960s as code sharing among computer programmers, it was in the 1990s that it became some sort of a common thing among the general public to pirate operating system from said companies. Bill Gates himself talked about this in 1998 at the University of Washington. Take a good glance at this because this is what I wanted to talk about in this video. Is piracy a bad thing? I mean, of course it is, because it is illegal.
Hey, come look at the site.
Oh, cool. Can you download the Foo Fighters?
Yeah, hold on. What'd I do?
You know it's illegal, download copyrighted music. I'm taking you in.
And we know that everything that is illegal is bad. I'm just joking. So, let's talk about how even if it's a bad thing, it did have a positive effect on me. Piracy at its infancy state was just people sharing music to other people. They took the analog format of music, which is used in records or CDs, and changed it into digital format, which is MPEG Audio Player 3, which is a mouthful. That is why it is widely known as MP3. The good thing about MP3 is that it is smaller in size than its analog format, and that made it easier to share to other people online, which led to the insurgence of file sharing networks. For example, Napster, which used peer-to-peer or P2P for sharing songs. Well, that got ridiculously huge because who doesn't like free music? As with its growing popularity among the general public, it caught the eyes of Recording Industry Association of America, or RIAA, who then banned the app itself. But the internet users, being themselves, they didn't stop right there. In 2003, a Swedish service came along by the name of Pirate Bay. It too used a P2P sharing method known as BitTorrent and became a hub for all the BitTorrent files that was available in its server. The internet users flocked that website, which only meant one thing. The big boys of RIA got a sniff of that and slapped a copyright infringement on the operators of Pirate Bay. But did that stop them? Well, kind of. They did stop using torrent files for sharing and started to use a magnet link, which has the same purpose, just uses a different method. You see, before you had to download a file that when used in the BitTorrent app allowed you to download whatever the said file was. With magnet links, one of the steps is just taken away. You no longer needed the file in itself to download anything from the app. Just go on the website and click on the link and you will be able to download the file that you wanted. The name implies it in itself. It is a magnet link. By doing this, it was even harder to track anything. You can't take down a website or ban files, but banning links was quite difficult. I mean, even if you did that, there would be another website by the next day with all the links available. You see, those type of internet users have too much spare time to devote in such activities. And yes, I too use those websites. Most of the people did. If I recall correctly, my love for music started when I first downloaded the albums My World and My World 2.0 by Justin Bieber, and I fell in love with the music. Yes, I was a Justin Bieber fan. Even though his music in recent time is just not for me. My first exposure to music from all the artists that I listen to this day came from illegally downloading their music. It's not the best thing to do, but at least I found about so many awesome music creators. Well, there was a downfall in all that get free music, and that was those annoying pop-up ads and potential malware that can affect your device. Well, in the early days of torrenting, it was just a place to share music among people with similar taste. But amidst that, there were people who would just put harmful malware in the facade of it being an MP3 file. And the more popular this got, those people started to target who were vulnerable to such attacks. You see, internet wasn't the same as it is now. And back in those times, most people didn't know much about, well, anything. It was a mysterious place and was filled with people who would try to get the best out of you. And it wasn't particularly the fault of those websites, as there weren't any people to monitor everything that was going on. So, long story short, this led to pirating music from those type of websites being seen as risky to such an extent that it was better to pay and get their service. Well, one thing that came out good out of it all was the music coming to the internet. The music industry understood that they can't remove all the pirated music from the internet, so they decided to give it a competition. Apps such as iTunes and Spotify have millions of songs in them, which is offered for free, kind of. You see, they have to make money out of it, so they have ads in them. Not as intrusive as the pop-up ads, but it is still annoying, and there is an added safety from all the malware in the cost of losing your privacy. But when you're in the internet, privacy isn't among the things that it has to offer. Had another NordVPN bit lined up for that. Well, Spotify is a great thing to have if you like listening to music, but oh god, are the ads annoying as hell.
Been thinking about coming back to Spotify Premium? Now that's a great idea. With unlimited skips, ad-free listening, and offline mode, upgrading to Premium is a no-brainer. You can listen to any song, anywhere, anytime, without any limits. Ready to go Premium? Tap the banner to learn more.
Like, I wouldn't mind someone who is still downloading music from a shady website to avoid the Spotify ads in between of two songs that catches you by surprise.
Want a break from the ads?
But if you have a little bit of cash to spare, then the premium version is pretty good considering the competition. Even though it doesn't offer that much of features, but not getting ads is worth it. So let's move on to the next medium that is generally pirated in the internet. Films, movies, motion picture, by whatever name you like to call it. See, it was quite difficult to pirate movies in those times. The internet wasn't fast enough like it is today to upload the big files like those. Most of MP3 file size varied from 3 to 10 MBs, while the format in here, MPEG-4 Part 14 or MP4, was bigger as it contains both visuals and audio, was 100 times more than the size of an average MP3 file. And by this time, the Motion Picture Association of America, or MPAA, were aware of the problem that the internet can cause. They learned from the mistakes made by RIA. The bigger size of the file did help by stopping some people to upload that to the internet, but they had a trick up their sleeve. DRM software, a type of security which prevents anyone to move the recorded material. The movies in the DVDs were encrypted, but there were dedicated people with enough technical capability who managed to do that and shared those files into the P2P networks. DRM was effective, but not up to the level that they thought it could have. Nowadays, it's pretty easy to download a movie by using torrent files or links. It did face the same problems that the music counterpart did. Same websites filled with pop-up ads and the chance of getting a virus. Well, MPA did try to take down those websites, but they would be just back up by the next day. The movie industry took the same route as the music industry to fix the problem. They made their own websites where you can watch movies and series by either paying for a subscription or had ads. Most of the better ones have subscription packs which aren't that pricey. But the problem isn't that. It's just that there are so many of them. and each one of them have license for different movies. It's not like you can just buy one subscription and be assured that you will get to watch all the shows that you like. It's so frustrating to see that your favorite movie isn't on the same platform that you paid for. Like, I'm not gonna pay for another one just to see one single movie. Well, with Netflix, you can do that. You just need a VPN. Oh, if only I had the sponsor. I can totally understand if someone just downloads a movie by using torrent files because they aren't willing to pay a good chunk of their money to watch a single movie. Well, you might say, just go watch that on a movie theater. Firstly, I can't because of a certain pandemic that is going on, and I don't want to risk my life just to watch a monkey fight a lizard.
You saved me. Why? Monkey.
And as I said in my previous video, I hate movie theaters. There is nothing better than watching a movie while sleeping in your bed. That's like heaven on earth. That leaves the last one, computer programs, mainly applications and video games. And we are going to focus more on the latter half. The moment people saw the opportunity to share huge files online, they started to upload games to share among people like them. Well, this is in a totally different ballpark than uploading some 3-minute clip of music. There are more files of different types and are a bit complicated for an average Joe. But as you know, that is not gonna stop them. With the help of modern technology and determinism, they were able to crack the games. Not crack open the game, crack the game files so anyone can play without paying. As usual, the publishers did try to stop them. In the early days, they tried more of a hands-on experience to stop free distribution of their games. Some of the example can be lens lock and code wheels. Well, it did work, but in a smaller scale. One of the latter methods that was used was serial keys, which was in the manual or with the game files. It did work, but not to the level that they thought it would. It was quite easy to alter some files and use the same key to play the game, or use a keygen which would generate a random key every time you use it, and applying that key, it would let you play the game. It wasn't effective to stop the gamers to play games without paying a single dime for it. One of the most effective and popular method that is still being used is DRM. It is not a foolproof scheme, but it does the job. And if you thought websites of pirated movies or music was bad, then you should see these ones. While having the most annoying pop-up ads, they have the most extreme types of malware that can seriously fuck up your PC. See, when you downloaded a MP3 or MP4 file, you can clearly see if there are some unwanted files or not, because they don't tend to have an exe or some random DLL file laying around. Well, the problem with games is that there are lots of files in there. And if you don't know about them, then you wouldn't be able to distinguish between what is needed and what is not, and just let it through thinking it is something needed for the game to work. You might be wondering that an antivirus would easily detect those files and keep your device safe. Well, yes, they would. But the problem is, majority of the people who download from such websites don't tend to use antivirus. How I know that? Because I used to be that kid. So, what if you used an antivirus? There is another problem. Most of the games can't run without you disabling the antivirus first, because most of the antivirus have inbuilt in them to stop such actions, and you just can't run the game without risking your vulnerable PC to some random virus. But has that stopped anyone? Of course not. There will be people who will keep cracking video games, and others who will keep playing it even if they have to pay the price by losing their PC. Take my situation for an example. I started to play games in that similar manner. Even though it harmed my PC, I enjoyed the game. And to a kid brain, that's all what matters. Who gives a fuck about the consequences when you can kill pixelated enemies by using a pixelated gun? But from using those websites, I found about an indie game called Terraria. You might have not heard about it. It's a pretty small game. And by this time, you know how much I love indie games. The games that I played by pirating them are the ones that I still play to this day. And after playing them for free, I wanted to support the developers, so I bought them in Steam. It was the least I can do. Piracy is illegal, and I don't condone anyone to do that. But it brought so much happiness to my life, and when I had the resources, I tried my best to support the ones who made it. Even though Steam has games offered in a pretty reasonable amount, there are certain games you just can't decide if you want to buy it or not just by watching a gameplay video. You have to play it for yourself to check out if it's worth it or not. And some games do have an option to do that. By playing the demo, you can have a certain idea of what the game has to offer, without breaking any law. It is something that I hope most of the game developers decide to do, because it really helps a picky person like me who nitpicks to every single detail. And no, making your games free is not the right way to do it. By doing that, the main revenue source of that game becomes the in-app purchases or paid DLCs. Rather than perfecting the game, they will just churn out shiny cosmetic items to lure in the kids. And I understand this is just a personal experience of me that took a good turn by the end of it, and most of the people would just keep on downloading games for free if given the chance. But hey, if they wanna download a $60 to $70 game with in-app purchases and paid DLC from EA or Ubisoft for free, then I'm with them, because fuck those companies.